Hello TAEKOOKers, welcome to my fictional world. Don't forget to subscribe. The buildings around Jungkook seemed to disappear as he glided through the ice like a bird. He breathed in deeply and joyfully and took a spin in his ice skating shoes. His cheeks were pink from the coldness, but his red lettuce scarf kept him warm as the wind picked up across the central park. Seoul's skyscrapers kept the sky in long white rectangles. Jungkook was just breathing deeply for the afternoon fresh air as a girl rushed past him in an incredible speed. He felt himself challenged as he started to follow her. He stretched out his leg and adjusted his balance as he speeded up. Come on, Tae, the girl made a rush turn and yelled. Jungkook used his chance to catch up on her and made a fancy stop next to her. Jungkook turned and saw where the girl was looking at, and he almost burst out in laughter. He saw a tall, muscular man waving his huge biceps, trying to keep his balance. The ugly green striped scarf around his neck almost fell off because of his excessive waving, and his cheeks were red in embarrassment. Under his stubbles, his hair was all messy, and white smoke came out of his mouth as he panted in fear. The girl next to him seemed to catch Jungkook peeking, so she just glides up to him. What are you looking at? She asked, annoyed. Sorry, Jungkook cleared his throat. Your boyfriend doesn't seem to be the kind of person who can skate, he added. Girl, and that's written where? He never skated before. I'm not surprised, Jungkook shrugged. How long you two have been dating? You can teach him, he added and chuckled. Girl rolled her eyes. He's not my boyfriend, idiot. He's my brother. She looked back at her brother, who was on his butt and now trying too hard to stand up. Jungkook can't help but chuckle. He found her brother really cute. I'm Jungkook, he said to the girl. I'm Gauri. He's my brother Taehyung. He shook his hand hesitantly. Jungkook gave her a wide smile, but she just glared at him. So how came you are so good at skating and he is not? Jungkook said and circled Gauri. She started gliding towards Taehyung, who had given up trying to stand up and sat there helplessly. My brother doesn't live with me. I live with my mom in Seoul and he stays in Insan. He just came to visit, Gauri replied. Jungkook approached Taehyung and looked down at him. Need a hand there, cutie pie? He asked. Taehyung wasn't amused. He glared at Jungkook like he wanted to swallow him. Gauri and Taehyung's glare looked alike. I told you I can't skate, Gauri. Taehyung turned to Gauri. I don't know how to stand up if there is no rails, he said, his cheeks getting more red. That's because you have never done it before. Come on, I will help you. Gauri smiled. Jungkook bent down before Gauri could move, and he held out Taehyung's arm. He ignored Gauri's rolling eyes and said, Hey, I'm Jungkook. Taehyung blinked and avoided the eye contact. Hi, he mumbled, but took his arms anyways, and Jungkook pulled him up. It wasn't easy as Jungkook thought it would to be, because Taehyung seemed to have more heavy, hidden muscle than Jungkook think. Jungkook almost lost his grip when he felt Taehyung falling backwards. Jungkook yanked Taehyung's body towards himself to keep him from falling, and he heard Taehyung's cups next to his ears as his body bumped into Jungkook. Jungkook rested his hand on Taehyung's chest and pushed him away gently. Taehyung's back stiffened when he tried to stand still. Thanks, Taehyung croaked reluctantly. Jungkook smirked at his embarrassed pink face. He slowly let out Taehyung's arm to help him to stand, but Taehyung immediately grasped on Jungkook's shoulder when he let go. Relax your muscles, you will fall if you are tense, Jungkook said gently. I know that, Taehyung grumbled, looked down to his awkward, angled legs. But I am afraid I'm gonna fall, Taehyung mumbled mostly to himself. Then I will catch you, Jungkook assured him. At the corner of Jungkook's eyes, he saw Gauri smirking at them. Taehyung let out a small breath before relaxing his thigh muscles carefully. Taehyung let go Jungkook's arms just a bit when he found his balance. Jungkook, see? Nothing that terrifying. Now come on, he said and glided backwards. But Taehyung stood at the same spot staring at him. Jungkook went backward to pull his hand to guide him. Don't worry, I will guide you, okay? He smiled. Then gripped on Jungkook's ribs tightly and moved his legs awkwardly. Cory crossed her arms in front of her chest and followed them. I see you don't need my help anymore, she commented. Taeyang turned his head and glared at her. Not like you, teasing me. Someone is actually trying to help me. Cory, I tried to help you, but someone is too eager to steal the job. She spat, chuckling. Jungkook's face grew pink like peach as he tried to avoid Taeyang's staring. Cory, well, I will let you two have fun. She pressed her lips together to hide her smile and glided away. Well, Jungkook turned to Taeyang. Yeah, my feet hurt, Taeyang complained. Jungkook, alright, come on. He let out a surprised laugh and pulled Taeyang slowly across the ice to the edge of the skating ring. Jungkook chuckled as he watched Taeyang struggling out of the shoes. Jungkook, a big guy like you. I can't skate, yeah. Taeyang huffed and he pulls off his one shoe. And I heard you a while ago. You heard me? But I was pretty far from you. Jungkook frowned. I'm a werewolf, Taeyang grunted. He rested his feet on the bench and wiggled his toes. Jungkook didn't answer, and Taeyang looked at him. Taeyang, what? Got nothing to say? Jungkook, no. He sat down next to Taeyang. Taeyang, look, I understand you would be scared, and it's alright, he said, shrugging his shoulders. Jungkook chuckled. You really think there is no werewolf in those crowds? My best friend is a werewolf, and we live together. Then why you suddenly got silent when I told you that? He asked from. Jungkook's face grew red. He tried to hide his face behind his scarf. Because my ex is a werewolf, and we ended up badly. Jungkook stared at the ground entire time. Taeyang opened his mouth to answer, but his phone rang. He shrugged and pulled out his phone. What? He growled to it. We gotta go. Gauri said through the phone. Taeyang didn't answer. Gauri, come on Tae, you know you can't come back in months. Long distance relationship doesn't work for werewolf. Taeyang rolled deeply in annoyance. He already knew that his sister would sense his feeling. He probably read the smell of it. Taeyang looked at Jungkook, who was going in small circle on the ice, waiting for Taeyang to finish his call. Taeyang wanted to hold him in his arms and watch him smile all day, or he wanted to spend some more time with Jungkook. Taeyang, Gauri yelled. Yeah, fine, Taeyang shouted. A few people looked towards his way, including Jungkook. Taeyang hung up the call and shoved his phone into the pocket. What's wrong? Jungkook asked. Taeyang, nothing, I have to go. He picked up his stuff and slung them on his back. Jungkook watched Taeyang turned away and he stumbled out the skating ring to grab his arms. Wait. Taeyang sighed and turned back. I have to go, Jungkook. Jungkook knew this wouldn't work out. He had dated werewolf before, and of course he knew. Once his ex left just for 2 months and he kept calling Jungkook that he missed him until he stopped calling because he found someone else. Jungkook knew all this along. Gauri had told him that Taeyang doesn't live here. But now he wants him anyways. Taeyang was the only person he wanted to know about now. Call me, Jungkook said hopefully. Taeyang sighed and turned around to give Jungkook his phone to put on his number on it. See you around then, Jungkook smiled. At Taeyang's house, Taeyang spent some time with his mother and younger sister. Both of them knew Taeyang was practically not there because he was not listening to their conversation at all. He was thinking about Jungkook. I see, someone lost his soul to another place tonight. Taeyang's mom smiled as she saw him linger in the kitchen staring out of the window. I'm sorry, talk more, Taeyang sighed. Taeyang's mom, don't you feel sorry, but I'm curious what kind of gorgeous girl you got your attention. She's a he, Taeyang muttered with a flushed face. He didn't dated anyone before. His family knew that he likes boy, but never had any relationship. Taeyang's mom's eyes widened a bit. That's new. He must be handsome, she smirked and nugged Taeyang's shoulder. Taeyang stared at the Christmas light they had hung on the top of each door. He tried to control his blushing, but he bet his mom could feel his heat if not seeing. Thing, I can't stop thinking about him, he said under his breath. He sounded like a teenager. I thought Gauri must have told you by now, especially that it's not a girl. Why I have to fall for a wrong person at wrong timing? Taeyang blurted out. Thanks, Mom. We are wolves, stay. We don't fall in love easily, and when it happens, it's necessary. Just follow your heart. Taeyang, but what if we not end up well? Thanks, Mom. We make mistakes no different than humans. But if you hide away your feelings, you will lose your wolf forever. His mom squeezed his arm gently and rubbed her face against her son's stubble face. Taeyang felt comfort every time his mother calmed down him like this. Taeyang, you know, Mom, I can't. After Christmas, I will have to go back. Thanks, Mom. When the time comes, you will know what to do. His mom's red eye glowed and Taeyang's blue eyes shined in an instant. Taeyang watched his mom leaving the kitchen to find Gauri, leaving with his thoughts of Jungkook with his sand linger in his mind. Taeyang watched in surprise as he clenched on the rails on the edge of the ring. He was gaping at Jungkook, who was too far away to notice Taeyang. Jungkook was making spins and graceful jumps on the ice, way too fast. Even Taeyang's eyes had hard time catching details of Jungkook's face. Taeyang tried to move closer, but his muscles stopped him from doing anything but fall. He cursed at himself for being a werewolf, but not being able to skate. He's supposed to know how to do this. He took a deep breath and marched forward, earning himself a huge fall. He was landing on his back before he knew it. Taeyang sat up with a grunt, ignoring the wetness of his clothes, of the ice under his jeans. He had his legs spread and sat on the ice frustratedly. He saw Jungkook lost his balance just for half of a second, losing his perfect pose. Taeyang nearly gasped, but Jungkook made a safe stop after his mistake, and he had arms akimbo while he panted. His breath from his mouth turned into white smoke. Taeyang tried to stand up and glide slowly towards Jungkook. He was awkwardly slow and stiff, kind of going the wrong direction with other people as he half marched and slid his feet across the ice. Before he could wave and yell at Jungkook, he saw Jungkook waved at another man who was gliding from the other direction of the ring. Taeyang saw the man approach Jungkook effortlessly. He assumed the man must be a skater too. They hugged and jealousy was already bubbling inside Taeyang's chest. Taeyang tried to go fast to reach him, but instead he fell forward and planted his face to the ice. Need help? An amused voice asked. Taeyang got himself on his butt and sat on ice and looked up. Jungkook was looking down at him with a grin, the man who was hugging him earlier beside him. That's him, the man sneered. You got a problem? Taeyang snapped. Jungkook laughed in surprise. He held his hand out and Taeyang didn't hesitate to grab it. He got himself in Jungkook's arm again and he tried his best not to blush. Taeyang, this is Jin, my best friend, and Jin, this is Taeyang. Jungkook introduced both of them. Jin held out his hand and Taeyang looked at him suspiciously. He could smell him. He knew Jin was a beta. He must have been the one Jungkook had told him about. I know. You have been talking about him for the whole night. Jin smirked. Jungkook, shut up. Jungkook hissed. Taeyang couldn't help but blushed. Jin looked at even more smug now that he smelled Taeyang's embarrassment. I will let you two guys have fun, Jin said innocently and slided away. So, Taeyang cleared his throat awkwardly. I can't move. Jungkook chuckled, and Taeyang couldn't help but smile too. It was too contagious. He swore the temperature must have risen whenever Jungkook smiled. Come here. Jungkook took Taeyang's hand and pulled him, but Taeyang gasped for more, almost falling, and their forehead bumped together. Jungkook laughed even louder, but guiding Taeyang smoothly on the ice. Jungkook, My hands are cold. Taehyung took off Jungkook's gloves and covered Jungkook's hands with his own. Jungkook sighed softly. Your hands are so warm, he whispered. He wiggled his finger as the feeling came back to his nerves. Taehyung was not looking at their hand. He watched Jungkook's pink cheeks and soft lips as he played with Taehyung's finger. He had never wanted to kiss someone so badly. Taehyung looked down at their hands and he intertwined their fingers together. Jungkook looked at Taehyung and his smile disappeared. Taehyung, he mumbled. Their lips were so close. Taehyung only needed to lean in and he could taste the sweet lips of younger man. Taehyung leaned his body forward. Shit, Taehyung screamed. He tried to grab Jungkook, but his arms were busy waving in the air, and the next thing he knew, he was face planting the ice again. Jungkook chuckled. You are not good on ice. Taehyung, I'm a werewolf. I'm supposed to be good at everything, he said grumpily. Jungkook, even math? And he laughed. You're not a Superman. Taehyung, don't be feel bad, he said, not sounding funny at all. Taehyung, shut up, he said playfully. He grabbed Jungkook's legs and tried to pull him down. But Jungkook skipped away. Taehyung, how did you skip on ice? He said frustratedly. Jungkook only smiled and glided away, leaving Taehyung stumbled behind him. That afternoon was the best day of Taehyung's life. Jungkook had taught Taehyung to keep himself balanced on the ice without falling. He felt like he had known Jungkook for his whole life. Every second seemed to expand for hours and hours of Taehyung staring at the beautiful man before him. Taehyung could remember every chuckle, every blush, and every longing stares they shared. He was going to miss Jungkook. The sky was dark in Central Park, darkened all the lights from skyscraper around them. Only Christmas lights decorating the darkness like stars. People had left the ring group by group until two of them were only the one left. They spent half of the day skating. Of course, Taehyung had sat down for a long while in between, complained about his sore feet. You have the master basic skill of skating without falling, Jungkook announced proudly. Taehyung, admit it, I'm a failure. Jungkook laughed. You're a failure? He giggled. It's funny, you don't know how to skate. Big Wolfie, he teased. Taehyung narrowed his eyes and tickled Jungkook on his stomach. What did you say? He chuckled, pushing them onto the ice. Taehyung held himself up before flipping them over, not wanting Jungkook to lie on the ice. Stop, Taehyung, Jungkook screamed in laughter as he tried to slip away from Taehyung's arm. Never, Taehyung yelled back, laughing too. He pulled up Jungkook by his jacket until he was looking into Taehyung's eyes. Jungkook gasped softly when he saw Taehyung's eyes burn in ice blue. Never, Taehyung whispered again. Jungkook gave him a sweet smile, the cold tip of his nose touching Taehyung's as he straddled him. Taehyung couldn't resist himself anymore, and he shrugged up to kiss Jungkook. Jungkook took the kiss willingly, like they have done it 1,000 times before. Jungkook's lips started to sting a bit with sensation as Taehyung's warm one pressed against his. He slid his tongue along Taehyung's lips, and Taehyung opened his mouth to let Jungkook explore, his hand sliding up to Jungkook's back. Jungkook laughed when Taehyung peppered kisses across Jungkook's face and chin, tickling him with its stubbles, leaving all trails of tiny wet spots behind. Jungkook pulled Taehyung's head by threading his finger through his hair and looked at his beautiful eyes. They were glowing in dark, and it seems the only thing Jungkook could see in the whole world. Jungkook was ready to press his lips against Taehyung, but a shout interrupted them. Hey, a guard yelled from outside the ring. You know you shouldn't be here. Oops, Jungkook squealed and jumped up, pulling Taehyung with him so fast. You are a common criminal, Taehyung panted as he carefully followed Jungkook to the side of the ring. Jungkook, yep, every guard knows me. Their main job is basically to tell me to leave because no one else would have stayed here. They changed their shoes at the bench, and when Taehyung tried to stood up, His wiggly legs almost had fallen back to the bench again. Taeyang had never been so helpless as something in his life, but he was starting to like the way Jungkook, a human, knew how to do something Taeyang couldn't. Only a few steps were enough for Taeyang's sore feet to heal themselves, and he could walk normally again. He caught up with Jungkook and lifted him up in his arms as he approached Jungkook from his back. He had Jungkook laughing and tickled him, and Taeyang did several more times just to hear his laughter. Jungkook panted, still in Taeyang's arm, with his feet a few inches away the ground, dangling. Do you want to come to my place? Jungkook grinned. He can't believe he's asking Werewolf this question. Taeyang puts Jungkook down gently but not letting him go. Jungkook, as much as I want to. For some drinks and movie perhaps. Or we can just hang out, whatever you wanna do. Jungkook suggested. Taeyang could only grin at Jungkook. He didn't know why such perfect man exists. He leaned in and pecked Jungkook's lips a few times. This sounds perfect, he whispered against Jungkook's lips. Taeyang opened his eyes with a hoarse groan in the back of his throat. The smell of air immediately signaled him that he wasn't in his room or his mother's house, but the scent comforted him, and when he opened his eyes, memories flooded over him. He yawned and felt warmth pressed against his skin. Jungkook was sound asleep next to him, his pale chest rising and falling calmly as he snored lightly. Taeyang could hear all the sound in the city, already busy in the early morning. Sunlight was hitting as a beam against Jungkook's soft skin, tackling every mole that was planted on his chest. Taeyang sighed blissfully. He pressed his body against Jungkook's even more, and his face in the hollow of Jungkook's neck. He breathed in deeply the scent of younger men. There was no Christmas then waking up like this. Jungkook squirmed a little when Taeyang stumbled, tickled his skin, and fell back to sleep. Taeyang took his time to admire the moles on Jungkook's skin so beautifully. Taeyang wanted to leave marks on them in the future. Jungkook hummed in his dream. He threw his arm around Taeyang and hugged him closely, like he was a teddy bear. Taeyang grinned against Jungkook's neck and kissed the skin off his collarbone. He kept kissing and left all the trails up Jungkook's jaw and nibbled the skin there gently. Tae, Jungkook mumbled, his eyes barely open. Taeyang lifted his head up from where he was hiding and kissed Jungkook on his lips softly. Good morning, he whispered. Did I fall asleep? Jungkook groaned. Yeah, it's fine, Taeyang said. No, it's not. Jungkook threw his arms over his eyes to cover the bright sunlight. We are supposed to finish the movie together. How did it end? You seriously care how the movie ends? Jungkook chuckled and Taeyang laughed with him. Jungkook roared in annoyance. But I'm supposed to stay awake for you. Jungkook pushed Taeyang down to the bed and let his own head fall to Taeyang's chest. I'm glad you stayed, he added. I wouldn't. I want to leave. Taeyang grinned up at him. But Jin did come back though. I heard him with someone. Jungkook groaned in disgust. That must be Juni. I'm sorry you have to hear that. Jin promised he would leave the apartment for us. I don't know what he's thinking. Jungkook rolled his eyes. Taeyang chuckled as he ran his hand through Jungkook's hair. Maybe he thought we would be horribly drunk and not hear him. I must have broken the glass on that coffee table when we made out, but I'm not getting drunk on Christmas. Jungkook huffed. Speaking of which, would you like to meet my family? Taeyang asked. He regretted immediately, hoping he is not moving too fast. They still had the distance problem they have to solve if they were gonna be together. Taeyang, you don't have to if you don't feel like, he added. No, I mean I want to go. Jungkook blushed. It's just that Taeyang leaned in and kissed Jungkook's lips softly and slowly pulled away. I know that I live far away and all that, but I have a feeling I want. What I'm trying to say is, Taehyung sighed frustratedly. I want us to be together, even though you might not feel the same. I don't know, but I like you. Taehyung blushed when he said that, making Jungkook smile too. And I want us to be together. Jungkook leaned and kissed Taehyung. Me too. Taehyung sighed in relief. He kissed Jungkook some more times until they heard a knock on Jungkook's bedroom door. Are you guys naked? Jin yelled from outside. Jungkook pulled away and rolled his eyes. Yes, we are naked. Now leave us alone. Jin sweeping open the door anyway, not caring what Jungkook told him. Liar, Jin huffed. You really think I put on knock on the room door for nothing? Jungkook sighed. Taehyung pulled the sheet up to his chest. Even though he is not naked, he still had his boxers on. Well, I'm sorry about last night, he said innocently. Junie and I were both naked when I remembered Taehyung was coming over. Jungkook narrowed his eyes. Now get out. I'm getting dressed. Jin looked amused and he slid outside the room innocently. Jungkook started pulling up his new pairs of jeans and some clothes. When he found Taehyung's hoodie on the floor and he smiled before picking it up to put it on himself. Taehyung was turning to look for his clothes when he saw Jungkook wearing his hoodie. Hey, that's mine. Taehyung yanked back on the hoodie Jungkook had on, gently but playfully. Give it back, he said. Jungkook, no, he mumbled, trying not to laugh. And I like it, he blushed a little. Taehyung pushed Jungkook on the bed and reached under the hoodie to tickle Jungkook. Give it back, he yelled. Jungkook, no, he screamed in laughter, clenching on the hoodie from being yanked by Taehyung. No, please. Taehyung curled into a giggling ball and rolled over the bed. Stop, he kicked his leg to get Taehyung away. Taehyung sat back in the bed, still hadn't got his clothes on, laughing at Jungkook, who fell off the bed. Your hoodie is better than mine, Jungkook insisted. He raised the sleeves that was apparently too long and covering his hand. He took the sleeves near his nose and sniffed. And it smells as yours, Jungkook said blushfully. Taehyung felt his chest tighten with warmth and he smiled. It looks better on you anyway, he said, and it's true. Taehyung loved the way Jungkook looked so happy in oversized hoodie, the color contrasting his pink cheeks. Taehyung couldn't help but pull Jungkook in and kissed him, licking into his mouth with affection. You look really hot like this, Jungkook commented. Taehyung's hair was still messy from the morning, his belt not too tightly fixed, and he wasn't wearing a shirt either. You look really hot in my hoodie too, Taehyung hummed. He lowered his head and kissed Jungkook again. Gauri, I see you haven't marked him yet. Taehyung, shut up Gauri, he answered in a whisper. Jungkook was having a delightful conversation with their mother while they both watched from the kitchen. It was the last day before Taehyung will leave for the past days they had was the best time in Taehyung's life, but he was sad cause he had to let go Jungkook. Taehyung, if I marked him, I wouldn't be able to leave, but you gave him your hoodie. Taehyung sighed regretfully. Giving Jungkook his hoodie is not a big difference than making him actually on the skin. It means Taehyung will gonna miss him, no matter what. Taehyung, I didn't. He took it. He shrugged. Gauri, and you let him? She tried not to laugh, even though she had been laughing at the shirt Jungkook gave to Taehyung, since Taehyung took off his jacket. Gauri, the color combination, it doesn't just look bad on you. I doubt it will look good on anyone or not, she continued. I bet it looks good on Jungkook, Taehyung defended. Your boyfriend has a terrible taste in clothes, Gauri concluded. Taehyung frowned at the word, but softened when Jungkook walked into the kitchen. Taehyung couldn't help in Jungkook's presence. He always filled him. Can we talk? Jungkook pulled Taehyung's hand and dragged him outside the house. Jungkook wrapped himself with his arms to keep him warm. Taehyung noticed it and hugged Jungkook from behind and kissed his cheeks. Taehyung, what is it? Tell me. Jungkook, can I come with you to the airport tomorrow? Taehyung couldn't see Jungkook's face from his angle, so he turned Jungkook around and cupped his face. Taehyung, of course, you can. Some seconds of silence. Just Jungkook bites his lips and looked up. All kinds of lights were lighting up the grey sky. Taehyung could smell Jungkook's sadness and he realized Jungkook had tears in his eyes. Taehyung pulled Jungkook against his body. Jungkook was wearing thick layers of clothes to fight the coldness and Taehyung hated that. He couldn't be even closer to him. Taehyung, I will find a way to make this work, I promise. Jungkook stood up to his tiptoe and kissed Taehyung. He can feel the sadness when Jungkook kissed him. So he deepened the kiss and turned it into a passionate one until Jungkook moaned softly. Taehyung, I know this is crazy, but werewolves are kinda crazy, right? Jungkook, I think I love you, and not just I feel like it today, he added quickly. Believe it or not, I can feel a bond between us, Jungkook mumbled. Taehyung could see him blushing under the dim lights. How adorable he was. I know, Taehyung smiled. Taehyung played with hem of Jungkook's collar before peeling it down until Jungkook's pale skin was exposed. Taehyung leaned down and hovered his lips over Jungkook's skin. You are my mate, he whispered. Jungkook shivered. He felt Taehyung's lips pressed lightly on his collarbone. Mate? Taehyung closed his eyes. Jungkook's words sounded like something holy, something good, like a song. He ran his nose along Jungkook's neck, fighting every nerve not to mark him. Taehyung pulled away. Jungkook was little disappointed as Taehyung's warmth left him. Taehyung, even if things doesn't work out right now, it will one day and I will find you again. You already have me, Taehyung promised. Jungkook smiled and blinked away the tears in his eyes. He believed Taehyung. What he felt was real and he could feel their bond grew together. Merry Christmas, Taehyung, Jungkook whispered as Taehyung hugged him as closer as possible. It was already the time for Taehyung's flight, whereas Jungkook was being anxious just by the thought that Taehyung will leave him just after a few minutes. Taehyung, he don't make it more difficult for me. Jungkook didn't answer. He just hugged him tight, like he don't want to give up him anyways. Gauri, Taehyung, your flight have already announced. Gauri gave an assured nod to Taehyung as he pulled out Jungkook from the hug. After a few minutes, Taehyung cupped Jungkook's crying face into his hand and gave a sweet peck on his forehead. Jungkook couldn't help but cried more. Taehyung knew that Jungkook's tears would make him weak, so without saying anything, he just left Jungkook and turned to leave. Taehyung took only a few steps, but Jungkook held his arm tightly. Taehyung, remember, I promise you something, he mumbled without looking back at Jungkook and shrugged his hand away, leaving behind a messed up Jungkook in tears. Taehyung just walked forward without even glancing back at Jungkook. He felt his cheeks to be wet only to realize he was crying. It was the first time in his whole life that this big werewolf was crying. Jungkook couldn't help anymore and he fell on the floor crying as he watched Taehyung disappearing from his sight. Gauri bent down to Jungkook and pressed his shoulder to comfort him. It's already been 3 days when Taehyung left. Jungkook was sitting silently on the bench beside the skating rink. He didn't enjoy skating anymore after Taehyung left. Nothing was same for Jungkook. He wanted to text or call Taehyung but stopped himself, remembering Taehyung's word. Nor did Taehyung try to contact him, but still Jungkook had a faith on Taehyung's promise. It was 31st night when Jungkook was alone at his apartment. Jin instead insisted him to come with him to the party, but Jungkook rejected him bluntly. Jungkook was admiring a pic that Gauri secretly took on the first day when TAEKOOK met. Jungkook's mind was flooded with all kinds of emotion while looking at the picture. No doubt he was missing Taehyung like anything. A lone tear flowed down to his bright cheeks as the flashback of memories hit him. Just then his phone rang. It was a call from Gauri. Jungkook, I told you, Gauri, I'm not interested in that party, he said without even listening to what she was called for. Gauri, Jungkook, I'm stuck here. Please can you come to help me? She said, cutting off Jungkook. Jungkook, what? Where? Gauri, I'm sending you a location. Please come as fast as you can, she said and hurriedly cut the call. Jungkook got up and took his car keys, put his jacket on. He connected his phone with his car to the location Gauri sent him and he left for there worried. Jungkook stopped his car and noticed it was a skating rink where he met Taehyung and Gauri for the first time. He shrugged his thought and went inside. Jungkook, Gauri, are you there? He screamed and ran inside. To his surprise, no one was there, even there was no guard present. Just when Jungkook reached in front of the skating rink, the lights went off and the rink filled with darkness. Now Jungkook was a little scared. He hurriedly opened the phone to check whether he is in correct location where Gauri asked him for, or he just come here by mistake. Suddenly the ring blew up with fairy lights and then Jungkook saw a silhouette glowing in those lights. He blinked his eyes for a couple of times when a focus light dropped on that silhouette. Jungkook can't even recognize who was that person. That person was standing facing his back to Jungkook. That person started to skate and the lights followed him. It was not some fancy jumps or poses, but still the light made it look beautiful. Jungkook went a little close to recognize who he is. When the person turned and made a simple pose, giving back the smile Jungkook that he lost some days ago. Yes, it was Taehyung. Jungkook couldn't believe his eyes what he saw. He thought it would be a dream. He rubbed his eyes frustratedly. Yes, it's Taehyung. Jungkook couldn't stop himself, so he just jumped over the rails and ran to him as fast as he could and lashed himself on Taehyung. Taehyung lost his balance, making both of them fall on ice. Jungkook fell on the top of Taehyung. Jungkook, why? He cried, hugging Taehyung. No words were ready to come out of his mouth. He was so happy to see him back. Taehyung, let me breathe, he said, almost laughing, but was happy to see Jungkook's reaction. Jungkook, why didn't you call me? Don't you miss me? He asked between the sobs, still hugging Taehyung, as his life was depended only on him. Taehyung pulled out from the hug and wiped away Jungkook's tears with his finger and cupped his face in his palms and looked at Jungkook's eyes. Taehyung, what do you think? Why I come back then? Jungkook, did you come back for me? Taehyung, no, of course not for you. He spat and snuggled his head in Jungkook's neck, feeling his clothes down to find his pale skin. Taehyung ran his nose on his skin, finding his nerves. Then he gently buried his teeth on his skin to bite on Jungkook's neck when he found a proper spot, marking him. Jungkook closed his eyes to bear the sweet pain Taehyung gave him, and truly Jungkook also wanted that. Taehyung pulled back his teeth that were buried into Jungkook's skin and kissed the spot, caressing it. You are my mate now, Taehyung announced and pulled back, looking at Jungkook. A tear rolled down his cheeks and Jungkook noticed it. A wave of happiness ran across Jungkook's heart, realizing how much Taehyung loves him. Jungkook, I can't believe you really come back for me. His eyes glow up in excitement. Now that you are back, don't leave me again, he added. Taehyung, it's impossible for me to live without you now. And now that I marked you, nothing can separate us from each other. He smiled through his tears, caressing Jungkook's cheeks. Someone coughed from behind. I think we also deserve some praise for planning everything. A familiar voice echoed in the ring, breaking Taehyung's sweet moment. Gauri, you? Jungkook mumbled, looking where the voice came from. Gauri, my stupid brother doesn't even know how to surprise someone. He was coming to you directly after landing here, so I have to plan all this. And don't worry, Jin also helped me in this. Now enjoy your new year together. I'm going to the party with Jin, she said and rolled her eyes and went out, leaving the couple alone. Thank you, Gauri, Taekook screamed together, still lying on the ice above each other. I know I deserve this. Gauri shrugged her shoulder, praising herself. So, Taehyung looked at Jungkook, admiring his face after this long. So, Jungkook replied, blushing. He rested his head on Taehyung's chest, feeling the warmth that he was craving for all this time. The sound of firecrackers and celebration hinted them that it's already 12 and it's a new year. Happy New Year, mate, Taehyung said and kissed on Jungkook's head, caressing his hair. Happy new beginning to our love, and I promise I will never let you go away from me again. Jungkook looked up, resting his chin on Taehyung's chest and said, Taehyung, now should we get up? Taehyung, no, I'm more than comfortable here. He shook his head against Taehyung's chest in proper denial. Let's be like this forever. I always want you to be this closer to me. I love you, my big wolfie, he added and pecked the young's lips. And like this, they entered in a new year together.